Episode 3 of MobLand starts with a huge explosion, blowing Kevin's house sky high. Harry receives a call from Kevin afterwards, warning that Richie has made his move and he's coming for them. Harry wants Kevin to meet him down by the yard and to bring Eddie with him, now that he's found Tommy's body. Over at Harry's place, Richie's goons show up and threaten him. However, he's on speakerphone with Conrad, and given he knows exactly who these two are, he threatens to blow them off the map if they make their move. It's enough to spook the goons into staying quiet and pretending that they haven't actually seen anything. Harry next heads off to stay with an old mate called Mike, but the guy's not particularly happy about this. As we soon learn, he's a sports journalist and author, but also a degenerate gambler who owes Harry 30 grand. So there is that too. Gina and Jan are going to be staying on Mike's boat for the time being, while Harry tries his best to clear up this mess. Harry meets with Eddie and Kevin afterwards down at the yard. He shows them the club owner, Valjean, beaten and tied to a chair. He's in a rough way, and they also have Tommy's remains here too. According to the owner, Eddie asked Valjean to take care of Huey in exchange for 10k. But on top of that, he was also told to bring Tommy and Eddie back to the club together. Tommy was killed when he returned though, having been stabbed between 50 and 60 times. Eddie though was nowhere to be seen. Kevin is livid, and with a taser in his hand, he confronts his son, shocking him several times. Whether Eddie's actually telling the truth here when he says he doesn't know what's going on is unclear, but Kevin is undoubtedly irate. Kevin rings Conrad to let him know what's happening, but Maeve is in the room circling. When she finds out what's happened, she's the only one here who smirks. She's actually proud of Eddie's actions and wants Conrad to echo the same sentiment, but instead he hangs up to discuss this with her further. The pair head to the sauna, which appears to be the room they go to talk shop like this. It may also be a way of doubling precautions in case the house is bugged. They contemplate how to handle the Richie situation. Maeve suggests going after Vron and using her as leverage, while Conrad has plans to arm everybody and go after Richie's inner circle. Maeve refers to herself as the White Queen here and reinforces that she's always been a player in this game, but it's clear that things are picking up in a big way regardless. In the middle of all this, Harry shows at the care home where he promised Maria, his maid, that he'd help get her mum someplace nice to live out her days. He arrives late to the scheduled meeting though, so he puts on the old bribing hat and knows this will do the trick. On the way out the door though, he spots an old man at a table. Harry recognises him as a violent prison guard that used to beat him when he was behind bars. Harry doesn't act on this, but it is indicative of his troubled history with the authorities. Unfortunately, his pictures are also snapped when he leaves the house. Back at the shipyard, the Czechs have shown up to bolster out Kevin's forces. Kevin though is more interested in what's happening with Isabella, knowing something is going on here. Now, Isabella facilitates the meet between her father and Antoine, and we already know she's not happy in her marriage, something echoed by Kevin's concerns when he mentions that she didn't even flinch after being told about the house being bombed. It's clear that she's working in the shadows to broker a deal here, potentially to leverage herself into a position of power. However, I think it's safe to say that she's more determined to take her dad down a few pegs, given there's no love lost between them. Within the meeting, there's an implication that Bella's dad is prepared to broker a secret deal, evidenced by him saying, "I can get you in to see anyone you want for the proper consideration." The entire incident is being filmed by a secret camera that Bella has set up with Antoine. However, he decides to hold on to it and make a copy for insurance, essentially blackmailing Isabella into submission so she'll play ball. Back with Harry for now, he and Kevin look set to kill Valjean, but they both play the good cop bad cop routine to force him into submission and work with them to save his own family, specifically giving them crucial time to come up with a better plan of action while Richie is on the warpath. Eddie shows back up at Conrad's estate here, where there's clearly no love lost between him and Serafina. Brendan is here too, just mulling about, and while they all discuss Eddie's antics, Maeve waltzes into the room humming and praising Eddie's actions. She also throws shade at Serafina too, although she bites back by pointing out Maeve married into the family, so it's not exactly like she has a leg to stand on here by claiming that she's not a true Harrigan. Conrad heads out with Serafina just as things start to get spicy. We do get confirmation of an affair here, which Serafina is the result of, while it seems this all occurred a long time ago and Serafina's birth mum is no longer in the picture. Interestingly, Maeve was 16 at the time Conrad got her pregnant with Brendan too. Serafina has her head in the game though, more so than Brendan, and asks outright whether Eddie killed Tommy. She knows this is enough to make Richie move and start this war, but Conrad puts on the facade of still being in control. Harry rings Richie next and breaks the bad news to him about Tommy. The idea here is to set up Valjean as the fall guy, while also getting the cops off their back in the process with a little car switcheroo gig to fool the officers. Kevin, having switched cars with Harry, taunts the officers when they're far enough away. However, the cops do receive an anonymous tip about Archie Hammond's body, which they dig up from a casket. Elsewhere, Harry hands over a bloodied Valjean to Richie. He's prepared to torture this man within an inch of his life to find out whether his fabricated story is actually the truth. If not, well, Harry is going to hear from Richie very soon. Speaking of calls, Harry receives one from Bella here, who brings him over to her hotel room. She admits she messed up and breaks the news about the blackmail incident. Harry promises to take care of it, but there's a moment here where he contemplates kissing her. He doesn't. When Harry leaves, he knows that things are going to pick up in a big way from now on. So MobLand returns with another really solid episode here. The light bites of humour work a treat just to lighten the tone enough from the harder hitting drama, which picks up in a big way. The idea of starting the episode with that explosion and then keeping up a steady level of dread and tension throughout makes for a riveting watch. And the show is definitely leaning into this more now, layering in some interesting character developments in the process. We also have more reason to believe Maeve is working against Conrad, especially if he got her pregnant at 16 and all that drama with the affair. It would give her more than enough ammo to want this family taken down a peg or two, with her in the driver's seat. There's also the situation involving Valjean too, which is clearly not going to work, especially put in that much intense pain. Either way, this club owner is completely screwed, and he's definitely not going to make it out of this in one piece. All of this poses a particularly big headache for Harry, who's in over his head and caught between a rock and a hard place. How will he make it out of this in one piece? Well, we'll have to wait for next week's episode to find out. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.